Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Antoine Medley from the Forced Pivot podcast. I'm the creator of the podcast, and this is our season one, episode four. And I'm glad to have as many people watching as we're getting. We hope our numbers climb from week to week. And then also, if you can't catch the video, and you're in your car and you're running or you're in the treadmill or something, and you want to check out our podcast, you can find us at everywhere in any place you can get a podcast. You can find us: Apple Podcast, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Again, and anywhere that you can find a podcast, you can find us. Just look us up, the Force Pivot Podcast. So I thank you for showing up. Again, this is the fourth episode. I was asked a question a couple days ago: how long am I going to do this? And I don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to do it. I'm going to do as long as I can. So that's sort of how I've been living my life. Gosh, for the past what for 11 years. I got some news 11 years ago that just made me say, hey, Antoine, do what you can do while you can do. And so I've been running ever since, just doing what I can do while I can, because you just never know when you're not going to be able to do. So sometimes it's hard for me to sit still. I know some of my friends, and I know my family and my wife especially. Sometimes she's on me and she's like, "When are you going to slow down?" And but I got this thing in my head. It's like, as long as I can do, I'm going to do. As long as it doesn't, long as it doesn't stop me from doing. But I'm going to do as long as I can do, because you just never know. You never know what's in front of you. You never know what's going to happen. You never know when the next pivot's going to happen. You never know when the next force pivot is going to happen. Where you have to make some moves, because of things that happened to you that you just completely was not. You weren't aware of it. You didn't know it was coming. But when things happen, you have to do it. You have to do it. There is no slowing down. Sometimes in life, things happen to us each and every day that we have to adjust to. I actually took my daughter down to actually both my daughters. We took a trip, and my wife, we took a trip down to Fayetteville State University today. Spent the day down there at Fayetteville State, looking at that school for my youngest, who's a junior, and then looking at the school for my oldest as well. Because again, I think I told her story last week. She's pivoted on some things, and now she's looking for a new university, a new major, just for a fresh start. And we sat with the admissions today and talked to the admissions counselor. And when I hear my daughter, I was kind of going to tell her story for her. And when she kind of like just took it from me and just went on her own, it blew me away. I mean, it made me such a proud father to hear my daughter sit in front of this lady and tell her story, tell her about things that happened to her, where she was mentally. Just to hear her tell her own story was amazing to me. And I looked at her, I was like, wow, you know, you're doing this. And I just said, I just shut up and didn't say anything else. But I was so proud of her, because she's realizing that in life things are going to happen, and when they do, you pause and you keep moving, because that's what sort of expected of us. Because sometimes in life things will hit you, and you feel like, well, I have every right to take my ball and go home. But I think we're better for continuing to press on, because all of our loved ones, our family and friends would want us to press on, no matter what happens to us. And I wanted her to press on, and she's doing it. And it makes me proud as a father. It makes my wife proud, just to see her do that, because, being 19 years old, kids can sometimes, be kids. I mean, they're not adults. And then having them react to the things that we have to react to, sometimes, it doesn't go well. But to see her doing what she's doing, again, it warms my heart to see her doing that, you know. But I posted something on social media a couple of weeks ago. There's a Japanese art form that sort of, so I don't know, it fell into my lap. I was listening to some music, and these guys were singing about it, and then I was just on Facebook, and one of my frat brothers posted something about this same thing, and I was like, man, see, I said, when things happen like that to me, I say, okay, that's God. He's trying to teach me something. And and that art form is called Kintsugi. And Kintsugi is a Japanese art form where they take broken pottery, right? And instead of just throwing out broken pottery, they take it and they put it back together. But they don't just put it back together, but they put it back together using gold and platinum and silver. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Google that. Google Kintsugi, and you think about it. I think about us as people that we're pottery, right? We're clay at times, and there are things that happen in our lives where we're broken, right? But we can be put back together, and being put back together, with those precious metals makes us more valuable. And I mentioned that to a friend of mine. It's like we can go from being broken to blessed, from broken to better, you know, but we have to put ourselves back together. And sometimes we can't do that alone, but we have to allow people to help us be put back together, and we can go from being broken to blessed. And I've been wondering, I'm like, sometimes in life, do we have to be broken? You know, do we have to be broken to make better? And that's a question that I've been dealing with for a little while. And and I mentioned to you guys about my brother's passing, and so I've been thinking about that, just thinking about my life, thinking about what's going on with my daughter, just thinking about a lot of stuff. And so I thought I would bring somebody on that could maybe give us some perspective on this piece. When I think about Kintsugi being broken, and how do we go from being broken to better? How do we go from being broken to blessed? Is it a continuous road that we have to go down? But because I think it is, I don't think it ever stops. I don't know if we ever get to that fully better point. I think it's just a continuous work in progress. So I've got a friend that I'm going to bring on, Teryl Bowen. She's a friend. She's a fellow Hokie. So I mean that's always good. When I can bring, when you have two Hokies in the same space, that's an awesome thing. It's like no matter where I go, it's kind of like being in my fraternity. It's like no matter where I go, I can't get away from finding another brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And it's kind of like too. It's like I can't go too far without running into another Hokie somewhere. So I guess I belong to two really good families, Hokies and Alpha Phi Alpha. So I'm gonna bring Terrell on because Terrell has a story of her own, and I wanted to allow her to share some words with the listeners and share them with me, because again, this isn't about me bringing people on to help affect you, but it's definitely bringing people on to help me because I need this more than anybody else. So I'm going to bring Terrell on right now. Mr. Bowen, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
I'm doing well, doing well. Thank you for coming to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Man, I've been thinking about you since I launched the show.
Oh,
I've been thinking about you. We've communicated a little bit over the last couple of months, and
yeah.
when this show kind of fell on my spirit, I thought about you, and I told myself, I was like, I gotta have Terrell on the show. I've gotta have her on the show, um, you know, because I know she's got a story. I know she's got some words that'll feed a lot of people and feed me.
I hope so. Oh my goodness. The
But
pressure,
tell,
the pressure.
yeah, but tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, okay. Well, my name is Teryl Bowen, and let's see, I was born in New Rochelle, New York, but I was raised in a small town called Farmville, Virginia. Graduated from high school there, went on to Virginia Tech, go Hokies, like you said. Got a degree there in sociology, and then I moved back home and went to graduate school at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, VCU, and I got a master's degree in social work. And I've been working in social work. I'm not going to tell my age, but probably for at least almost 25 years, which means I
Mhm.
started when, I was about 4 or 5. Okay.
Yeah, you're still waiting to hit 30, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
exactly. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker in Virginia as well as in North Carolina, where I live now. And I primarily work in child welfare, doing foster care and adoption. I've been doing that for years. And then on a personal note, I am a mom. I have three beautiful, crazy, awesome kids. My daughter is 18. She's a freshman in college, so I can totally relate to what you're going through now with your girls. uh, and then I have two boys. They are 12 and 14, and they're in middle school. So they definitely keep me running.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm the oldest of three. I'm also the shortest. I don't know how that happened, but I'm the shortest. I'm an auntie. I have nieces and nephews, cousin, a friend. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay.
And for the past 6 years, I have been, or almost 6 years, I have been trying my best to navigate this journey of being a widow.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, being a widow.
Yeah. When I mean, I'm a couple of years older than you, so I'm probably about 25. Um, I met your husband. I think I remember him at Tech, but I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I don't think I really knew him. But
Right.
I met him. I met him some years here. We crossed paths here. He reached out to me, and I was holding an event, and he came, and I saw
Mm-hmm.
him at the event. We chopped it up a little bit there.
Yeah.
And I think we may have even communicated. I don't know if he actually came to one of my academy sessions with the boys or not. I don't know. I can't remember,
Uh-huh.
but when I heard the news about him, his passing, it 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 floored me,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we think we're too young to die, which is
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
stupid. But we do we think we have so long to live, but we just never know. And like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that slapped me in the face with my brother. So tell me a little bit about Rich.
Yeah. So, oh God, I don't even know where to start. So Rich, or I called him Big Rich. He
Mhm.
was, like you said, we met at Virginia Tech in
Mhm.
1995. And he was a big and tall guy, but he had a really big personality. He was smart. He thought he was an expert on any and everything. Um, he was very funny. He loved to crack jokes and just make people laugh. Um, he loved sports. He played football at Virginia Tech. He loved football. He was, starting to get my boys into football as well. Just very loyal. He loved his family, loved his friends, was always willing to help people and give advice, whether it was solicited or not. Um, and he was a Virgo, so not to stereotype Virgos, but I,
Right.
he the Virgos that I have in my life tend to have very similar characteristics,
Mhm.
and so by that I mean that he was a visionary. He could see the end result, but not necessarily the process of getting there. He was very black and white, no gray. He never sugarcoated anything.
Yeah. He sounds like a man of my own heart. Very black
Really?
and white, no gray. You know,
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it
no,
to
he
you
didn't.
100.
That's right. Yeah, he would tell it like it was, and he was very comfortable with who he was as a person. He didn't change for anyone. It's kind of like just accept him for who he was. And yeah, I mean, he was kind of like my personal bodyguard, because I'm short. I'm short and petite. He's big and tall, and I don't like confrontation. I hate drama, and I remember a couple of times where say I'd be in a store or something, and I felt like the customer service was terrible, and they just people would give me a hard time, and I'd say um, I'll be back in an hour, and you have a blessed day. And I get in the car and I call my husband. I'm like, Rich, these people are stressing me out. They won't give me my refund. I need you to come down here. And he'd show up and walk in the store, and I'm right behind him. And he goes, what's going on here? Why are you and my wife so upset? Yeah.
Right, right. So
And
how
I
did you
would be
how
like,
did you
I would leave with a refund
and more?
and more, Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. So he's
So
definitely
how did you guys meet?
yeah, we met through a mutual friend
Mhm,
named Sabrina. She introduced us, and we first went out on my birthday. I was 19 when I met him.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Well, I mean, I remember Blacksburg. It's like that. That's that. Those 4.5 years are years I don't think I'll ever forget. You
listen,
know.
I have to say this real quick. When I met Rich, he looked horrible. He was dressed like a bum. I'm not even gonna lie. This that when I say he didn't care about what others thought, oh my gosh, he looked so terrible. And but he started talking and cracking jokes, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure, we can go out. Because I mean, he
Mhm.
just had such a wonderful personality. And when he came to my dorm to pick me up, I mean, I didn't even recognize him. Like, he looked so nice. He had on nice clothes, and he was driving like a Mitsubishi Eclipse. And I was like, what in the world? And he was like,
He was
yeah.
testing you. He
He
was
was,
testing you.
that's what he said. He was like, I wanted you to, like me for who I was, not for what I looked like or what I had. I
Right,
mean, he was that type of person.
right, right. Well,
Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
yeah.
So I mean, what? How do I ask this question? I mean, can you share a little bit about the day he passed? I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know that's something that's probably just vivid in your mind. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, I think about it every day.
Mhm.
Um, but he died on May 8th, 2016, which was also Mother's Day. So he passed away on Mother's Day, and he was
Mm.
42. That weekend, it started off just, like a normal weekend. And I remember him coming home that Friday night from work. And he said that, he thought he was coming down with something, like maybe a cold or a flu or something like that. And I was supposed to go out for like a pre Mother's Day dinner with my sister and my cousin. And I told him, I said, listen, I don't have to go, and I'll stay here and take care of you. And he's like, no, 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 you've been talking about this dinner all week, and I don't want to hear your mouth. So go and have a good time, have fun. I'm good. I'll be all right. And so I went out, had a good time, came home. He said he was, okay. Saturday, he was still, saying that he wasn't feeling well. Felt like it was the flu. So he was just kind of laying around the house. You know, didn't think anything really that it was that serious. I remember my brother came down from Virginia because he was coming down to celebrate Mother's Day with us, and Rich was sick, so I ended up taking our boys to their football game and came back, and he was still just, no, I'm good. I kept asking if he wanted to go to the doctor or hospital or urgent care, and he's like, no, no, I'm good, I'm good. He was supposed to be at an event that Saturday night, and I said, Rich, you are not going to that event. You are sick. And so he wanted me to drive him to meet. He was a Mason, and he wanted me to drive him to meet one of his Masonic brothers, just to, I guess, to handle some business, not necessarily go to the event. And I told him, I said, well, while I have you out, I can take you to the hospital. He's like, no, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll be all right. That's what he always said. I'll be all right. Sunday, Mother's Day came. He was still just kind of laying around the house. Said he didn't want to go to the doctor or hospital. Um, I remember being like in a group chat with my sister and my cousin, LaShawn, and my next door neighbor, Dominique. And we were just kind of texting each other, wishing each other happy birthday, not happy birthday, happy Mother's Day. And, I told him, I said, Rich is sick. Can you believe he is sick on Mother's Day? And we are just kind of going back and forth with that. But as the day progressed, I could tell that something wasn't right, but he was adamant that he was okay. He didn't want to go to the hospital. And I remember he took a shower and then he came back and was just kind of just laying around the house. And, at this point, I felt like I was nagging him, and he was still, to me, being stubborn. And I felt like he was ignoring me, like I'd say, Rich, come on, let's go to the doctor. But he wouldn't respond. And I just thought he was ignoring me. And then probably a couple of hours later, he got up and was wanting to take another shower. And I said, Rich, what are you doing? You already took a shower today. And again, I thought he was ignoring me. But he stopped and he looked at me. And this was probably one of the last things he said to me because I said, Rich, you're scaring me. Like, come on now, let's go to the hospital. And he looked and he was like, why are you scared? He said, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And then he just kind of got up and kept, going about his business. And I'm getting frustrated, like, oh my God, like, Rich, please come on. Like, what are you doing? So he was insisting upon taking the second shower. And I remember going downstairs. My kids were downstairs, just kind of watching TV. And I told my daughter, I said, Daddy is not looking good to me. And I said, I'm going to see if I can convince him to go to the hospital. So just watch your brothers, and just keep them downstairs, okay? And she was like, okay, mommy. And when I go back upstairs to check on him, Rich is in the shower, but he's like leaning against the shower wall, like just leaning. And I'm like, oh my God, Rich, come on. Let's go. We are taking you to the hospital right now. And he was like, no, I have to finish this shower. And I remember reaching in to turn the water off, and I grabbed his arm to help him out. And he just collapsed onto the floor. And my daughter must have heard the noise because she ran up and was frantic. I'm trying to calm her down. And, I just tell her to go get the phone, call your aunt, my sister, because they don't live that far away. I called 911. And I remember my boys, they probably heard a commotion too when they came upstairs. And they saw him lying on the floor in the bathroom. But they didn't come in there. They just stood and they were staring at him. And my younger son, Jonathan, I remember him saying, is my daddy going to die? And I said, no. He just fell. He's dehydrated. Run next door and get help. And they ran next door to my neighbor's house, Mike and Dominique. Dominique is a nurse, and, we're all very close, like family. And as they were leaving, their son was coming over to bring me a Mother's Day card. And so they must have said, my daddy fell. We need help. And so they ran next door. And thank God that Dominique and Mike, made the kids stay, because they didn't see what transpired afterwards. But, they came. And I just remember Dominique had her phone and it looked like she was texting or getting ready to call someone. And I said, Dominique, I've already called 911. They should be here in a minute. And what she was really doing was, remember that group chat that I told you about with my sister, my cousin, and her. Later, I realized that she had texted, Rich collapse, get to Terry. They call me Terry. Get to Terry now. And she then called 911 herself, and they told her to start CPR. She was doing it. She got tired. Then her husband was doing it. Meanwhile, I'm just on the floor, just hugging on him, like, Rich, come on, get up, not even thinking that the worst was yet to come. I just thought he had the flu. He didn't really eat that weekend. He was dehydrated, he collapsed. He was weak. And then, within minutes, the EMT arrived, and my cousins were right behind him. They live in my neighborhood. And I'm thinking, how did they know to get here? Not knowing that my neighbor had texted to tell them to get to me, And they just, I remember there was this one guy with the EMT, and, they told me they wanted me to not be in there while they tried to work on him. And they said, it's not like it is on TV. We're going to try to Um, we have more space here. We'll try to stabilize him and then we'll transport him to the hospital, you know. And there's the guy with the EMT was just, he was talking to me, trying to calm me down. He took me downstairs. They were asking me questions like, like what medication he was on and things like that. And meanwhile, people are starting to hear that Rich was sick, that he had collapsed. And my phone is ringing off the hook. And I remember my mother-in-law calling, and she's Jamaican, and she was just just spitting out questions with her accent, and I couldn't understand what she was saying. And I said, "Listen, there's this man here. He's asking me questions. I'll let him talk to you on speaker." And she said, "I'm I'm Rich's mother, but I'm also a nurse, and I need you to talk to me like I'm a nurse." And she said, "How long has it been since he had a pulse?" And the guy with the EMT, he said, probably about 6 or 7 minutes. And she just started screaming, 6 minutes, 6 minutes. And I knew I had to go back upstairs to see what was going on. Like I knew, because they were just trying to keep me downstairs because they didn't want me to see what they were doing. And so I ran upstairs. My cousin and my neighbor Dominique were with me. And the way my house is set up, at the top of the stairs, if you look down the hallway, you can see the bedroom, and I have double doors. And I could see that they had moved him from our bathroom to our bedroom. And I could see that they were working on him. And, LaShawn, my cousin, and Dominique and I, we just started praying, just like, Lord, just please let him be okay. Just, please, please, please. And then a few minutes later, they came out and they said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I'm sorry." And, it took probably a few seconds for it to register what "I'm sorry" meant. Because, like I said, Rich was such a strong person. He was like my bodyguard. I mean, I really didn't think that he had died. Like, it really didn't hit me, you know?
I know we had talked a little bit. I mean, do you think there were, when you look back on it, do you think there were some things that were going on to help you prepare for this?
Um, well, yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, let me just say this, that when people say that your life can change in an instant, I
Mhm.
mean, that literally happened to me. Like that morning, I woke up, I was a happily married woman. I had my whole life ahead of me. And then by that night, I was a 40-year-old widow with 3 young children who had just seen her husband die in our home, in our bedroom. And I mean, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I could not believe it. And I think I was in such a state of shock that even when I went to Rich, I mean, he was in our room. They had pronounced him, that he had died. And I just started laying on him. I kept saying, Rich, get up. Come on now. We have 3 kids. Get up, please. I mean, I was bawling, crying. I mean, I just couldn't believe that, he had left me. I just couldn't believe it. And I remember, I felt this arm like beside me, and then a hand on my back. And it was my brother-in-law, Clint. Like, I don't know how he got in the house. I don't know how he got upstairs. I don't know how he got in the room with Rich, but he was in there when they were working on him. And I mean, I don't know. I just can't explain it, Antoine. It took a long time for them to get me out of the room because I just couldn't believe that he would not get up. He would
I,
not get up.
I don't know. It's amazing for you to sit here and tell me this because when my brother passed last year, same thing. I mean, my brother
Yeah.
was 45 years old. I had two nieces, like I think 12 and 8. I
Hmm.
mean, my sister-in-law said that they were up watching TV. He went up to take a shower, came back downstairs, said he wasn't feeling well, didn't want her to take him to the hospital.
Yeah.
But then she was like, "No, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take you. So let's go. We'll leave the girls here. They're asleep. It's 2 in the morning. I'm going to take you to the ER." And she said that he passed in the car before they got to the ER.
Oh, wow.
And then my brother that's here in Raleigh with me, he and his wife and my wife, we had gone to a comedy show that night before,
Mhm.
and so I had done something crazy to my phone so that it doesn't ring in the middle of the night or whatever, and so my phone didn't start ringing until 6 o'clock in the morning. And when I answered the phone, there's my baby brother, and
Mm.
he was, I couldn't even understand what he was saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I'm thinking to myself, well, it was I'm thinking, okay, it's either my mom or my dad.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking my brothers. I just talked to him Thursday, and we talk on WhatsApp twice a week. It's not him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, it's not my brother Duran who's here with me, because I was just with him, you know. And then a minute later, I get this pounding on my door, and it's
Yeah.
my brother Duran.
Mm.
And when he walked in the house in the apartment and told me that it was my brother Dietrich, I, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I did not believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not believe it. And part of me, I'm not gonna say part of me now feels like I still don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But that thing has, I mean, I can't imagine the effect on my sister-in-law and my nieces and my parents.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine you, right? I mean, that was your husband.
Yeah.
That for me, that's a different, um for me, that's a spiritual bond there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
My brother, he was born into the family. I mean, I'm the oldest of four boys. I watched him, I was there. I held him the first day we brought him home. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I remember every until I went to school. I remember every day of his life, pretty much.
Yeah.
It seems like, and I cannot believe that he's gone. And I try to deal with it, and then and sort of when I got my head into a space which still isn't right, um I thought about you,
Yeah.
and I think about my sister-in-law, and I'm just like, I, I don't, and for you to sit here and tell me this, I don't know how, I don't know how you do it. So
But
so so
listen, I don't know. It has to be nothing but the grace of God, because it's amazing that I'm not sitting in somebody's psychiatric unit right now,
yeah, yeah,
And I think the one thing that gives me peace, um, and it's going to sound crazy, but seeing Rich, after he died, he looked so peaceful.
mm,
I mean, like, it looked like he was sleeping, but it was like a different type of peace, you know? Like when he told me that he was going to be okay, I knew he was okay.
yeah, you
I
believed it.
knew he was okay because he looked so peaceful, you know? But like just thinking about things that prior to his death, like just conversations that took place, and things that happened before he died. I was thinking about this, but I remember a couple of months before Rich passed, um, Brian Edmonds, Poons from Virginia Tech, he also played football with Rich. He had died in March, and we went to his funeral. I mean, it was a shocker,
Mhm.
And we went to his funeral, and I remember coming home, because that made me think about us. Like, wow, like
Yeah,
we need to put some things in place, And I remember telling Rich, I said, listen, if something were to happen to me, my papers are here. call this number, do this, this, and this, talk to my mom, my sister, and they'll help you with anything, okay? And he said, okay. And I'm like, okay, like, so you have some instructions for me? And he was like, you be all right. I said, what? He said, no, seriously, you be all right. I mean, and that's how he was. Like, he could see the end result, but not necessarily explain the how or the process, you know? I mean, so now I see that, yes, I am all right, but he definitely didn't tell me how I would get there. But another thing, I mean, it's so weird, but I remember probably a week or so before he died, we were just kind of hanging out in our bedroom watching TV. I was probably watching like Atlanta Housewives or, just something like that. And I thought he was watching it too, but he was like in deep thought, you know? And he goes, Terry, what's your favorite Bible verse? Just out of the blue. And I'm like, what does that have to do with Atlanta Housewives, And he was like, no, no, seriously, what's your favorite Bible verse? And I said, oh, I don't know anything about worrying or anxiety. I said, I like Matthew's chapter 6, And I said, what's your favorite Bible verse? And he said, Joshua 1:9. And I wasn't really familiar with the verse, so he looked it up on his phone and he read it to me. And it said, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, okay, TD Jakes, okay. And don't you know, after he passed, I used that verse in his obituary. I had it put up in my house. And then I went back and I read the backstory, and it's talks about Moses. Like Moses was supposed to lead the people of Israel to the promised land,
Mhm.
but he died. And Joshua was called to do that. And I'm assuming Joshua felt anxious and afraid and discouraged, and God said, do not be afraid. I will be with you wherever you go. And I looked at Rich as being like Moses, like he was the leader of our family, such a strong person, strong personality. And then he died. And then I'm kind of like Joshua, like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know what to do. I've known this man since I was 19. I don't know
Right.
really life without him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that verse, it just stuck with me. So I really do hold on to that.
Mhm.
That even though when it first happened, my faith was tested. I honestly felt like God had sucker punched me, like it
Right.
just wasn't fair. I felt like I'm a good person. Rich was a good person.
Yeah.
We were just living life, trying to help people. And then this happens, you know, I it just, I just felt like it wasn't fair, you
Right.
know. But another thing that I remember happening was that I remember when I turned 40, I told my family that I didn't want to party. All I wanted to do was just take family pictures. With my mom and dad, my siblings, spouses, all the kids. And Antoine, when I tell you I was like obsessed with getting these family pictures taken, like I was on a mission. I was obsessed. It was all I could think about. And then my birthday's in October, so we had planned to do it in the fall. But my sister had her baby, and I said, "But that's okay. We'll postpone it. But we're taking these pictures. I don't care what y'all say. We are taking these pictures." And so we ended up taking the pictures the last weekend in April. We went to Virginia, to Farmville, took the pictures, beautiful pictures. That next day, we all went to church, my home church in Farmville. And don't you know, Rich passed that next week. He died that a week later.
Mm.
Like I had no idea. I mean, like I said, I knew I needed to take these pictures, but I didn't know that that's why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. We took my daughter. We took her to school for her freshman year, so
Hmm.
we took her to Tuskegee. So we drive to Tuskegee, and we drop her off, and we on our way we stay overnight, and then on our way back we stopped in Charlotte where my brother was. And we spent the night there, and we were leaving my youngest there because my parents were coming down for a week. So we left my daughter there to be there with
Mm-hmm.
him and to be there with her cousins and my and her grandparents. And just that one day, almost 1 day or 2 days I spent with him, it didn't it seemed for some reason that it's like it was different. It was just me and him hanging out. Um, I remember just my last time with him. It's like we just got in the car and went to Food Lion
Yeah.
just to go get something for the kids,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
just me and him walking up and down the aisle in Food Lion. I mean, I I don't know why it seemed different.
Yeah.
It just seemed so different. And then when we came home, um, a week later, my parents were coming to my house and they were bringing my daughter back. And then the weekend that was coming up, I called him. I was like, "Hey, man, we're going to come back down to Charlotte. We're going to come because they've lived in Mississippi, they lived in Texas, so they lived sort of far away from us. And it's just like, man,
Hmm.
hey, we're going to come back down there and hang out for the weekend." And he was like, "Ah, we kind of chilling. We've had company, for." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, my parents are just there. My daughter was there for a week, And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. And I was thinking, we'll get down there, maybe next month just to hang out, just to get away."
Hmm. Hmm.
And like I said, I mean, my brothers and I, we use WhatsApp all through COVID. I click one button and we're all four of us are on the video together.
Right.
We're just talking, just talking about nothing.
Yeah.
And and we did that we tried to do that on Thursday, and he and I were the only two that got on, and we just talked a little while, and I'll talk to you later. You know, I mean, and you never know. And I think about you, when I think about this Japanese pottery, right? It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, you were Rich's, um, you were his piece of pottery. He protected it. You and your children. He protected it with
Mm.
with everything. From what I know of him, he protected that with everything he had. Everything.
Yeah.
He filled you guys up. He helped empty you. He kept you clean. I just compare you to this precious bowl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do the same thing for my sister-in-law. You know, but somehow, that bowl got broken. You know, I mean, his death, it had to have done that because I'm a brother and I feel broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know I can only imagine how you feel. And now I'm thinking about, okay, well, how do you put yourself back together? And I look at you, right? How do you put yourself back together and
Yeah.
not try and just talking? You're putting yourself back together,
I'm
and you're
trying to. Yeah.
you're trying to keep your children together.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, for you, it sounds as if you're not you don't want to hide the cracks, right?
Right. Yeah.
You want to put yourself back together with precious metals, and you're not going to hide those imperfections. You're not going to you can't you're not trying to hide what happened to you,
Right.
right? And I watch you through this, and it just like, man, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean,
listen, you talking about your brother and your last moments with him, it made me think about um some, just my last moment with Rich, before he came home that Friday. But I remember, so we took those family pictures, And then he came home. We came home to North Carolina that Sunday. And, you know, everybody was getting settled for bed. It was kind of late. And I remember he had called me downstairs, like just, Terry, come here, Terry, Terry. I'm thinking, what in the world? What's wrong? He was like, listen, Mother's Day is coming up, and I'm going to take you out to lunch this week. He said, so check your work schedule. I'm going to check mine, and we are going to go out. And so we decided to go out that Thursday, Thursday before Mother's Day.
Mhm.
And I remember it was raining like, oh, it's like a hurricane almost. Like it was terrible. You know, and I had my hair was blown out, my hair was done, and I was like, oh, I'm not going out to lunch today with him. And so I called him. I said, listen, we don't have to go to lunch. We'll reschedule. We'll do it another time. And you know, he was adamant about going. He was like, nope, nope, nope. We're going. Get an umbrella, put a bag on your head, whatever. We're going to lunch. And I was like, oh God. And I remember talking to my coworker. She was like, girl, your husband's going out with your husband. You can take my umbrella. It'll be fun. And I met up with him in the rain and we went to lunch. And it was like one of the best outings we have ever had. I mean, he was just talking. Not that he didn't talk, but just he was like real chatty, like telling me stuff that I would need to know later on. I mean, again, not I don't think he knew what was about to happen, but he was just telling me all types of things, you know.
Mhm.
And I am so glad I went. Like, I mean, that was the last time we went out, you know. And so that moment, you know, you're asking about, you know, what am I doing? But that moment right there really taught me to not put things off, you know,
Mhm.
because you know, I was really guilty of that. I would, oh, well, you know, I'll do this when I get some money, or I'll
Right.
wait until the kids are grown, or, you know, whatever. It's like now I really try to not put things off and just really try to take advantage of the moment, take advantage of the opportunity because, you know, tomorrow is not promised, you know,
Right.
not promised. Um, Another thing that's helped me is um, again my faith, just relying on my faith and my village, my
Mhm.
family. They've been so supportive, so helpful. Which in the beginning was kind of hard. You know, I'm a social worker. I'm used to helping people because I'm in the helping profession. You
Right.
know, so to really have to rely on your family and friends to help you can be hard.
Yeah.
But, you know, I knew that if I was, you know, the only way that I would make it would be to lean on them, like really lean on them, you know. And a lot of people don't know this, but my father in law, Rich's dad, actually, you know, he left his life in New York. He's retired and he moved in with me. He moved in with
Wow.
me about 3 years ago to help me with the kids. You know, I know that probably sounds crazy, but
No,
like I needed the help. Like I needed the help.
that
And
doesn't sound crazy at all.
yeah, and I have to give Rich the credit for that. I mean, he really made sure that I had a good relationship with his parents, his
Mhm.
cousins, you know, his aunts. You know, like he really pushed that. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm extremely close to them. I mean, we're all like one big family. You know, so
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful for that. Um, Another thing that I utilized was therapy. Um, you know, I know a lot of people shy away from therapy, but I did go to therapy. My children went to therapy because, you know, it was a very traumatic event.
Yeah.
Um, and I knew that I needed some professional help to to get through that. And so I encourage anybody who's experienced grief and loss to utilize therapy.
I was thinking that right now for myself
Hmm.
because I feel like at times that I sort of sit on the razor's edge. It's like
Yeah.
I can see one thing, and it just like I can, yeah, it'll just take me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm seeking that for myself. I've had some people tell me the same thing, and I know, when you're talking about your father-in-law, it's like I remember, having a good discussion with my oldest niece,
Mm-hmm.
my brother's oldest daughter, um, and I told her that before my before my brother passed, before her dad passed, that I never had to be her dad.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been Uncle Antoine. I've never had to be her dad in no way, shape, or form because she
Mm-hmm.
had a dad. But I told her, I said, well, now you have three daddies. You went from having one dad to three daddies. So my brothers, my other two brothers, you know, we have our own children, but now we've got two more little ones to be
Mm-hmm.
daddy. Because I know, in the deepest parts of my heart that he would do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got to become daddies again to little girls because I'm the
Yeah.
oldest of the boys. We have we had no sons, no grandsons. I've got two girls. My brother has five girls. My brother that passed had two girls,
Mm.
and my baby brother has two stepkids. He's got a daughter and a son. So we do have one boy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but but that from my dad, he had all boys, and we've delivered all granddaughters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I told her, I'm like, you call me when you need to, you text me when you need to, there's nothing that will stop me from being there, any of us from being there for you, because I
Mm-hmm.
know that my brother Dietrich would do the same thing,
Yeah.
no matter what. But I'm glad you did share the point about the therapy because I told my wife yesterday, and she
Therapy.
did- she did, she didn't do it today because we were so busy. I told her, I said, please nag me and
Yeah.
nag me and nag me and tell me to call this therapist instead of an appointment because I need it. I need it
It's important.
so
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in addition to therapy, I'm also, I participate in a support group
bad. Mhm.
of other widows who lost their husbands. I think all of us lost our husbands due to health related reasons. And I don't know if I made this clear, but it was determined that Rich died from a heart attack.
Right. So did
And
my brother.
so, yeah, when he came home Friday saying he wasn't feeling well, they said it probably was starting then. So, it wasn't like he was complaining of chest pain or holding
Mhm.
his chest. Like, it was nothing like that. I mean, it literally looked like he was coming down with the flu. Um, but so yeah, I'm in a support group with other women, and I'm so grateful for them. It's called Together We Walk, and we meet monthly, either virtually or in person. And we just, I mean, it's been a blessing for me because to connect with other people who've experienced a similar loss
Mhm.
is really important, because you can be surrounded by people and still feel extremely lonely,
Right.
you know, and it's just good to connect with people um, to who know what you're going through. So
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful for them. Um, and
And I
then
had reached out to you about my sister-in-law, so I'm still
yeah,
I'm gonna reach out to her again
yeah,
and try to connect you to, um, because I mean she and the girls came down a couple of weeks ago. I mean it's always so good to see her,
yeah,
but I don't know. There's nothing I can say. I mean, we just want to be there for her,
yeah,
as much as we can, as much as she'll allow us to be there, right?
yeah. It takes time. It
Yeah,
takes time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But another thing I do want to add is that I um, I try to be very intentional about
Mhm.
who I give my time and energy to, because I think that when you do experience grief and loss, and you know firsthand that time is precious,
Right,
like you don't have it to waste.
right,
And so you want to be around people and have yourself in situations that will fill you up, because you do feel so empty. You don't want to be around people who are taken away from you, who, just deplete you.
Yeah.
You really want to be mindful of who you're sharing your time and space and energy with. And then, two, just looking within your own family for support. I mean, in addition to the village, but I have tons of examples within my family, within my ancestors, of people who have experienced significant grief, loss, trauma, and they've made it through. They may not have necessarily shared their stories, but I mean, my maternal grandmother lost her husband when she was in her 40s. I mean, I don't recall her ever talking about it, but I know she made it through. And I remember thinking about her. And my other grandparents, they lost 3 children before they died, you
Wow.
know? So it's just looking within your own family for
Mhm.
examples of people who've made it through that really helped me. And probably the last thing that I try to do is just honor Rich's legacy by giving back. I try to be a blessing to others because I find that when I bless someone, it in turn blesses me.
Right.
So I really try to do that as much as I can. And that's what keeps me going. It's really what is keeping me going.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you. I was almost up. Wow, that was fast.
I know, right?
But
Look,
thank you.
I didn't ugly cry.
Oh, me either. Me either. Right.
Oh,
Again,
me either.
and my wife, she knows what I'm going through,
Yeah,
and when she sees me, she just, you know, because I don't want her to try to come to my rescue and hug me and try to get, she just lets me let it go.
yeah,
And I think that's been, a blessing, to just be able to let it out. So
yeah.
thank you so
And
much for coming
people
on.
may not always feel that way, like it
Yeah.
will get better. You will have more happy moments, and if you cry, it's okay. It's okay
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
you loved your brother.
That's one of the things one of my friends told me the day that it happened. He was like, Antoine, you don't have to be strong for anybody.
Exactly.
He said, cry yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
Just let whatever you want to let out, and don't worry about it. But you don't have, and that's the advice I've given to other people, other friends of mine, is that,
Yeah.
I had a friend who lost a mother to COVID. And I was like, man, look,
Yeah.
you just cry yourself out. Don't worry
Yeah.
about, you don't have to be the strong, because I'm the oldest. It doesn't mean I have to be strong for anybody,
Right. Exactly.
because if I'm trying to be strong for everybody else, who's being strong for me?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So just let it all out, and that's the healthy thing that I have been doing. But I
Mm-hmm.
still need to go talk to somebody. But I'm not. I don't bottle in anything.
Good.
I just like
Good.
let it rip.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm not crying sitting here with you, but
Oh,
you know.
yeah. Yeah.
But you've been a blessing, and keep
Thank
being a blessing to
you.
people. And I
Thank you.
appreciate your transparency. And again, back to this Japanese pottery, you're not trying to hide your cracks, and I commend you so much for that. You're
Thank you.
you're letting the beauty shine, the cracks shine through, because that's what's going to help somebody, right? The polished stuff is not going, that's not what helps us. It's the
Right.
it's the seeing the fragility of people and knowing what other people go through to let us know that we can go through as well. So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you for coming, and
Thank you
and
so
we'll
much
be in
for having me.
we'll
This
be on.
has been therapeutic for me, Antoine. Thank you.
All right, no problem. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Guys, I hope this interview blessed you, but because it's blessed me. Again, I don't know how I'm sitting here still, um, but I think it's because I listened to Terrell, and and seeing her strength lets me know that I'll be okay. But I am going to connect her with my sister-in-law, and hopefully they can be a blessing to each other. So, tune in next week. We'll be back with another guest. Okay. This is the Forced Pivot Podcast.